as an American, while I still support Boris Johnson as the Prime Minister, I have to admit he has been having a hard time in terms of matters within the United Kingdom as well as Brexit. Now, I personally do not blame him. He's just been given a bad hand, especially with the makeup of Parliament and such, and the political parties and how much they control, and yada yada yada. But with the elections coming up in the United Kingdom, I believe this may provide Boris Johnson a potential scenario to finally shift things in his favor. Now, as we already know, Boris Johnson is the leader of the Conservative Party as well as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And he's been very vocal of having a no-deal Brexit, a hard Brexit, if you would call it that, ever since Theresa May's 10 years as Prime Minister, who he later succeeded. Of course, after he became Prime Minister, he was given some resistance among Parliament, most specifically from the opposition, and even a little bit from his own party, those who still believed in either remaining within the European Union or just preferred to have a deal in terms of Brexit with the European Union. This is when things started to, I wouldn't say unravel for him, because he is trying to, he still has that base within the Conservative Party to still support him, as well as some new information that I will be getting into. But there has been many roadblocks as of late, which started back in September and a little bit in October. Parliament decided to pass a rule which forbid the Prime Minister from going on to support a no-deal Brexit, something which Boris Johnson was in favor of, and this was incredibly infuriating. And it gets even worse with how Boris Johnson called for elections prior to the deadline of Brexit, which was October 31st. Originally, should elections have been actually occurred at that time, it would have fact been on October 15th. And this was something that Labour and the Liberal Democrats and the rest of the opposition did not like. Because at that point, the Conservatives were high in the polls. They're still high right now, especially with the upcoming election. But I will get into that. But because of that, they decided to say no, and they managed to get a good chunk of Conservative members of Parliament to vote on their side. In fact, there were about 21 defections as a result. This destroyed the Conservative majority. This completely destroyed it. Because as a result of that major decision of the snap elections, as well as the issue with the whole forbidding negotiating a no-deal Brexit, Boris Johnson had no choice but to basically purge these 21 members from the Conservative Party, thus making them independents. And this has been it's been a major issue with them, because this destroyed the Conservatives' working majority, and it has been made hard for Boris Johnson to deliver on his promise on Brexit by October 31st, which unfortunately that was the case. And he did take personal responsibility for it, although I believe that more of the blame should have been on Parliament itself, because after all, Boris Johnson was the one who supported no-deal Brexit. He had just simply had his hands tied because of Parliament and was forced to send a letter for extension to the European Union. Although he didn't write his name on that, just to show that he personally did not support this idea. And he was even forced to make his own deal as a result of this. But like I said, with the upcoming elections with December 12th, I think this may potentially have a positive effect for Boris Johnson. He may finally get his majority. Now, in terms with, I say this because of some of the commentary coming from the Brexit Party, which is led by Nigel Farage, who I also really like. Nigel Farage, although there was some contention between Boris Johnson and his Conservatives as well as the Brexit Party, between those two groups, they decided that they will not stand candidates within Conservative seats. The Brexit Party will only campaign within Labour districts where they specifically supported Brexit back in 2016. This is going to be a major boost for Boris Johnson, because not only will the Conservatives be uncontested within their own districts, they will still keep that majority and potentially have allies in the form of the Brexit Party, who will definitely support the idea of a no-deal Brexit. Should they win seats? I'm not sure that will be the case, especially with some of the polls. But I'll get into that pretty soon. This will potentially also split up the vote for Labour as well as among the Liberal Democrats, because they have been very vocal in terms of remaining within the European Union and have intensely resisted Boris Johnson's attempts to deliver a hard Brexit. And I think that is just going to resonate with a lot of people within the polls, especially with their whole commentary of making a second referendum when it comes to Brexit and stuff like that. I believe that will definitely be a major topic, especially a lasting memory as a result, with many people who may be potentially voting for Labour. Now, the polls are also back this up that the Conservatives may actually win. Conservatives, according to the Conservative Party, according to the YouGov poll, is leaning at 42%. Labour, 30%. The Liberal Democrats, 16%. And the Brexit Party, 3%. Although it seems rather small considering that the Brexit Party managed to win big in the European elections. So I honestly think that it could be a little bit bigger. Although we'll have to wait until the election results show anything. Hopefully, the Brexit Party will gain some seats within Parliament and maybe form, and not in a way a coalition, but considering how much of a lead the Conservatives have over Labour, it may not be in a coalition, but still in alignment with each other in a way. But here, if this is the case, this may provide a potential scenario in which Boris Johnson will finally have not only a working majority, but also the ability to finally deliver on Brexit. According to data proxy study, Conservatives are likely to win at least 57 seats, which would raise the amount of seats they currently have to 349 within Parliament, which is 650 seats in total, while Labour loses 30 seats. This will they will increase their majority, while Labour loses in the entire ordeal. This may even potentially allow the Conservatives with Boris Johnson to finally have enough votes to finally rescind that rule forbidding a no-deal Brexit. And also potentially, like I said before, there may be allies, but I'm not holding my breath in terms of whether or not the Brexit Party succeeds or not. I'm not holding my breath with that, but if there is even a single MP of the Brexit Party, there is a potential ally to deliver on said promises. And this will look good for the Conservatives as well as Boris Johnson. Such an issue will also be a hit for Labour and the Liberal Democrats, which will definitely have to do a little bit of soul searching in terms of not only just their ideology and to determine the populace and how they think, but also their leadership with how Jeremy Corbyn has been dealing with the issue of Brexit. But that's only a potential scenario. We have, of course, the election is not until December 12th, but it's looking more and more likely that the Conservative Party, along with Brexit, or to an extent, may potentially win a heavy majority. This will give Boris Johnson the opportunity to deliver on Brexit, as well as deliver on other promises he made in regards to the United Kingdom. This will definitely be a major hit for Labour and the Liberal Democrats. And they will have to do a little bit of inward soul searching. But again, this is only just a potential scenario. The Conservatives could possibly lose as a result. They could lose. But I don't see that happening. Either way, Brexit remains a big deal within the United Kingdom. And I intend, whether or not Boris Johnson wins, that this issue will remain a big issue for many years to come. My name is Domi and Audio Our Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding how I frame my videos as well as how I speak, or if you have any suggestions on improvement or on subjects you would like me to cover, please post them down in the comment section down below or directly message me. Thank you.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain.